Hello and welcome to the Build-A-Bear Workshop. My name is Pat Baer. I'm here to build a model kit and to hang out with all of you. I'm throwing the Bear Cave, the Lego, the Scythe, the Tier 2 blue emote in the chat. If you are currently a subscriber, you can reply with those emotes. If you're not a subscriber, you can say hi or use other people's emotes. Or if you feel like being a lurker, go ahead and lurk. We've got Harold here. We've got Ghost Valve. Reminder that it's September, but also it's September. And you can save money by becoming a subscriber. And this is a great month to do it. Save that money and get me to 50 subscribers. That's right. We're currently at 48 out of 50. The goal is always 50. I shut up when we hit 50. And then we drop below it and then I start talking again. But if you want to become a subscriber, you can. If you don't have to. If you just want to hang out, you can also do that. Lord Crashton says, hey, Pat. Hey to you, Lord Crashton. Welcome, welcome. It's a Monday. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff that's out there. Wristfan is here. Hello, Wristfan. Throwing in that Tier 2 sub, emote. Appreciate that. But yeah, I got a few things to chat with you tonight. We're in the second hour, of course. We'll talk about a Manhwa that I've been reading. That's right, a South Korean comic, a Manhwa. We're going to talk about 3 anime episodes because Undead Murder Farce pushed this one. Lastbrook says, I do want to become a subscriber. Lastbrook, with the 70 months, we want to hit the Bear Cave Lego Scythe emote. Thank you very much, Lastbrook. You also push us up to 49 subscribers out of 50 with that. It's safe to say, assume you're fully recovered from the shoulder injury. Indeed, Lord Crash did. I was feeling good on Saturday. If you missed it, on Thursday, I cut the stream short after about an hour because my shoulder and my neck area, like right here, I really hurt it. I had dropped the sprue, and instead of, and I put the pre-show screen, instead of getting out of my chair, bending down on my knees, grabbing the thing I needed, picking it up, I was like, oh, I'll just reach for it. And so I leaned over at a bad angle and had to counterbalance and just pulled something. And it was so painful that I was like, you know what? I'm not going to stick this out for an hour. If it had been 5 minutes, 10 minutes, sure, no problem. But it was going to be an hour. And I was like, no, I'm in pain right now. I need to not be doing this. So then I stretched out, got an ice pack, took a couple ibuprofen, was good to go. And I've been fine since. I've been stretching a lot more. And then also, I'm not going to reach for stuff the way I did there in the future. I'm going to keep it cool. Thank you for checking in, Lord Crashton. I do appreciate that, though. But yeah, we're 1 subscriber away from hitting our goal. Hitting that big 5-0, so that would be nice. Tonight's agenda, as I said, Manhwa, anime talk. We'll talk about some dumb bullshit in the worlds of technology. Because there's a bunch of them. And we're going to work on a model kit. We're working on the Barbatos 6th form. This is a 2016 kit. It is the upgrade of the Barbatos with a cool weapon that is like the Jaws of Life, reverse Jaws of Life, mace kind of a deal. It has a ton of stickers. Some of those stickers are optional stickers. And some of those stickers we won't even see because of the way the armor works. I think the very first sticker we put on here will then put a piece on top of it. So you won't even fucking see that shit, which is fine. But yeah, I've had this in my backlog since November 2021. Almost 2 years. This kit has been in my backlog waiting for the day where I build it. It has lost polls on multiple times for my $10 patrons who vote on what I build next. It's wild. I'm happy to finally be working on it. So let's get into that. Let's go. I'm going to retweet my tweet, which will then also rightly be easy to talk about the next thing here, or our first thing on the old Twitter machine here. Yeah. So, I'm going to cut you off right at the pass, friends. I know that you know that in a conversation with Netanyahu, that Netanyahu, not another Netanyahu, Elon Musk was having a conversation and talked about X and X Premium. Now, the person who tweeted that went viral for this tweet made it seem like our boy Elon was talking about making Twitter not free. Just like getting rid of the fact that Twitter is free, having a base price to use Twitter, because that's the only way to stop bots. That is not actually what he said. It's not better what he said, but it is different. What Elon Musk said was, they're thinking about doing a lower tier of premium. So a cheaper amount. And with the assumption being either you get less stuff for your money, or perhaps the premium tier that exists now would get more things. Is that better? Damning with faint praise, yes. Will that stop bots? No. It won't. How much would you pay to keep using Twitter? I won't pay to use Twitter. So that's what it comes down to, right? So I won't pay to use Twitter. I won't pay less than what Blue is now, or Premium is now, for less features. I'm not interested in that. If they start taking away certain things, will it make me more likely to want to get to pay in order to keep those? No. If they actually do go through what the people that were saying, the person that was saying, which was not exactly what he was saying, the idea that they would make it a site that is behind a paywall, would I use it? Would I pay? No. Would I keep looking at Twitter if I had to pay to tweet, but I could read and engage with tweets by looking at them? I would still probably use Twitter for information gathering from people that are willing to pay Twitter money, because there are still people out there doing cool shit that I like to know about. Can you find me on Blue Sky and Mastodon and co-host? Yes. PatBaer.com has a link to all of those things. All of my links that are important for social media stuff are at PatBaer.com. It's a link tree. PatBaer.com used to, in the good old days, I had a blog. And then I had my Tumblr. It redirected my Tumblr. And then eventually I was like, I want to not do that. I want to do something else. And so it went to my Twitch for quite some time. So I can't, these don't want to, oh, there you go. So I have to really shove that in there. And then recently it went to my link tree, because it made sense to have a link tree for my information as a way to find me on all things. I'm on Threads, but I don't use Threads. I use Instagram on occasion. I mostly just like look at shit on Instagram before I go to bed. So I don't really post. Occasionally I post like selfies while I'm like walking out and doing whatever on Instagram, but I rarely use it. And I got on Threads, and I did not like Threads, and I don't think I will keep using Threads because it is not. That's not what it doesn't do what I wanted it to do, which is show me stuff that people have just posted. Even though it's better, it's still not good. Elon would make it pay only if he can get rid of most of his mooching critics and only keep the sycophant Nazis that say nice things to him out there. Well, here's the thing, Lord Crash did. Even they don't want to pay him. Not all of them want to pay him. He, the thing that is important to remember is that while Elon Musk does want a bunch of people to like him, he also wants a bunch of people that don't like him to suffer. And he doesn't want them, he literally does not want people to leave Twitter. He wants them to like Twitter as it is now with him in charge. And he hasn't been able to figure out how to do that because he has a deep, deep need to feel important. And if Blue Sky or Co-host or Mastodon or Threads becomes the new default, then he ruined Twitter. And he doesn't want that because he still wants that feedback. He needs it. It's a self-defeating prophecy. He desperately needs it. But he needs it on his terms, which are garbage. The thing that happened that he didn't want to happen was that once you become in charge of a thing, or you become perceived to be in charge of a thing, then even the people that love you, that don't like the website, complain to you. Everyone complains when you're the person in charge. A thing that you have to remember about this kit, I should say this now. It's been a long time since we did a Iron Blood Orphans kit. That these are not humanoid figures. These are demonoid figures. Because every kit, the Barbatos and all the other Gundams are from the Book of the Dead. It's not the Book of the Dead, but it's something similar. They're all the named demons. Then the Gundam frames have a demonoid structure to them. And that is important to remember when you're looking at and you're like, why does this look so weird? The answer to that question of why does this look so weird is because it's weird. It looks weird because it is weird. When you lose Cat Turd 2, you lose everything. Yeah, everyone. Yeah. Yeah, he's destroying a website, and it's not his fault that he's destroying a website. But he still needs it to hang on. Still needs it. He might not even be aware he needs it, but he does need it. It got warm in this room. It is, the weather has cooled off a little bit, so the air conditioning is not on in this house, which means that the air conditioning is not on in this house, and I have a window open, and that is not enough when you take into consideration that your friend Pat has some lights on so that y'all can see and that I can see what I'm doing, which leads to a situation that we're in right now where I am sweating, and it has only been 17 minutes. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm going to have to definitely cool off after a lot of these streams for a little while. And then it'll actually get cool enough that the window being open will be fine. But right now it is not fine. Okay, so we're going to add our first sticker on this kit. Even though this sticker is not noticeable, we are still going to put it on because we'll know that sticker is there. We'll know that sticker's there, and we'll know that we did it, even if it doesn't look like it. It's a nice 57 at night here. Wow, yeah, no, I don't have that. It's nicer. Like, we had some rain yesterday, and it was nice and cool and comfortable. It's just not nice around here. All right, so let's get our first sticker, which is sticker 12. Get our X-Acto blade. This piece is going to get covered up. We won't see it. It's fine. Because there will be something that goes on the top of it that's going to look damn good. You want to look good. So, 12. The sticker here. On there. Boom. 12. Goes on here. You can see it. This is kind of optional, but I don't know. Maybe in certain lights you'll be able to see underneath and be able to see it. So we'll put it on there. We're also going to, we won't panel line this yet. We'll get this all connected here. We'll panel line once we get the chest all done. Because I'm not going to worry about panel lining parts you can't see. So I'll get it all together first. So we need that. We need E1, which is E1 is the blue part here. So we got to get that on. Get that on there. And then we need we need E1, C6. Getting all our fun colors here. Getting this all together. This kit should come together pretty well. This should be a stream and a half to 2 streams. Like the legs and the arms are pretty solid. The weapon's got to be built. So maybe like 2.5 streams. I don't know. But this should come together pretty easily. we shouldn't run into too many bits of trouble in assembling this kit. It's mostly just me remembering how Iron Blood Orphans kits go together, and how particularly how the Barbatos goes together, because I've built my share of Barbatos. My wish list right now has the last kit, the last high grade from Iron Blood Orphans that I have not built. I have built. People ask, and it's like, oh, what series have you built the most kits from? And if it's percentage, then it's Gundam Wing, because I've built everything from Gundam Wing in almost every conceivable version. The Epion Real Grade's coming out at some point. Obviously, I haven't built that because it hasn't existed yet. But then, like, there's one. I think I have not built the real grade of the Tall Geese 2. But just about everything else I've built from Wing. Like, every fucking kit and every fucking combination. I haven't built, like, some of the manga variants, but they're still the base unit, so I think that's fine. But as terms of numbers, forget percentage. If you're just talking raw numbers, it's Iron Blood Orphans. I have built so many Iron Blood Orphan kits over the years, just so many of these kits. And there's only one left that I have not built, which is wild to think about. That's on my wish list. But yeah, until they start putting out other ones, I guess. I don't know if that would happen. All right, so that goes in there. That goes in there. Arms got to pop up a little bit so they fit into there. That's done. We can now work on the piece that's going to cover this, and we'll end the chest there, and then we'll panel line this chest. B31. As you can see here, it is. We built this whole thing with all these cool colors and this like lovely bingo. This lovely design, this like completely cool looking mobile suit here. It's like great, like fucking Gundam-ass Gundam, main character colors. And then we just stick this on top. This very bland, boring. We don't even put the sticker that goes on here. I forget when that goes on. Does that even go on? Actually, this high grade, no, it does. There's a sticker. That's right. It's 19. 19 for some reason we don't put on until the end, but we'll probably just put that on now, just cause. Yeah. That's right. 19 goes on. We're going to do that now, and then we'll panel line it. I don't know why they wait until the end to put this sticker on, but like it just looks so bland without it, so we'll do that now. I should also say that even though this looks kind of bland as a mobile suit, the thing to remember is that this kit is going to take marker so well. Because so much of it is this off-white, it's going to really pop with some marker. I think a lot of the Iron Blood Orphans kits look really good once you add some marker to it, and without marker, they're missing a little bit of flair. But this is the 6th form of the Barbatos, so it's a little bit. I mean, look, there's the sad element. Iron Blood Orphans is such a sad series that a lot of the mobile suits are not like bangers in design. They are bangers in like allowing the character, the pilot of that kit, to do devastating things to other people, and then also to have devastating things happen to them. So this is not on properly. So it makes sense that like these designs are demonic, as I said, but also like industrial. A lot of these kits feel like, a lot of the mobile suits feel like they were converted from construction work to become tools of war. And, the Gundams have this wild, evil look to them from the Calamity Wars. They're called the Calamity Wars. It wasn't a good time. You know. All right. Yeah, that looks pretty fucking good. It's got a good vibe to it. As a hint, Mary Kish is playing the game most related to your channel right now. Ooh, okay. So most related to my channel right now. If I had to guess what that was, I would guess that Mary Kish is playing Armored Core. That's my guess. Unless there's an anime game out there. Unless there's an anime game out there that is technically, unless she's playing like the laid back camp mobile game, because that actually is more related than Armored Core, in my opinion. I don't think she's playing the laid back camp mobile game. That doesn't feel like her vibe. But also Armored Core kind of doesn't feel like her vibe either, because I'm not saying Mary only plays small, cool indies, but Mary plays mostly small, cool indies. It's cool that she's doing something else, but that's kind of her vibe, is small, cool indie games. But yeah, all right, good for her. We're gonna work on the head next, which, amazingly enough, only has one sticker. The eyes sticker is the only thing in this kit. We just have to build the eyes at some point, which is like kind of a lot, or kind of a little, I should say. But the head on this kit, the V-fin on this kit is so good. Oh, so good. Very pleased with it. I mean, I'm a sucker for the Iron Blooded Orphan kits, as you know. She's also in Game of the Year mode for Fire Escape Lore Crash, and that makes a lot of sense. And Dan's been raving about it. Yeah, Dan really took to Armored Core, which is fun because Armored Core is like the kind of anime bullshit that Dan is into. Armored Core is cool guy stuff, even if it is like big robots, but it's big robotic machines that like shoot missiles and guns and fly around. It is Dan's definition of cool guy stuff, so it makes sense to me. Snuffy says, so I have a stupid question. I've noticed the same Gundam in multiple Gundam anime series. Is the Gundam just one specific model that the series is about all the time? So Snuffy, an easy way to solve this, to solve it is, there are a lot of Gundam series out there. And there's the Universal Timeline, which is like new series show up and they're in the same timeline. A lot of the numbered ones are all in the same universe. And then there are Gundam series that are their own thing, that just happen on their own. Like Iron Blooded Orphans that we're watching, we're building a kit from here. Gundam Wing, Gundam X, and then there are a third category, which is somewhat new, although Build, I believe, is 10 years old, so it's not that new. Then there are the shows that are about Gunpla. There are like Build Fighters about building Gundams. Lord Crashing wants me the dance button, which is a weird time for it, but sure. I'll hit the dance button as I kind of explain what's going on here. C5. Oh, yeah. I got distracted because I can't do three things at once. I can build a model kit and talk about Gundam, but I can't also dance. Need a soundtrack. No. So you may have seen a kit like the RX-782, the grandfather of all Gundams. You may have seen that Gundam over the course of many Gundam series because it's the main Gundam, or you might see a Zaku 2, which is like a grunt that appeared in a lot of Gundam series. But then also, if you watched anything that's like Gundam Build Fighters, Gundam Build Divers, Gundam Breaker Battlelog, those Gundam series that are about customizing model kits and then having them fight. Harold, you have a great night. Thanks for stopping in, as always, my friend. Those shows have like are like in some ways a throwback. So the answer is sometimes, and it's not a stupid question because there's a lot of Gundam, right? Like there's just a lot. But that's the best answer I can give you. No problem. Yeah, the best answer I can give you is sometimes it is the same Gundam from series to series. And other times it's like this kit has a lot of gold, red, and blue on a white base. I earlier described this as a Gundam-ass Gundam, a main character Gundam, because that is the color scheme of a lot of main-ass Gundams. That is the color scheme of the Gundam X, sort of. There's a little more black in there. The God Gundam and the Rising Gundam have that color scheme. Many Gundams, the RX-72 have that. Many Gundams have this same color scheme because that's like a throwback to the main character. The Gundam Wing. If you see the wing and you see the heavy arms, you'll go, the wing is the main character. The heavy arms is not the main character because that's red. That's not the main character. Wing and Wing Zero. The Aerial, yes, Ghost Valve. The Aerial. Gundam, like the main character Gundams have this similar color scheme. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Sometimes they're Gundams that are just out there doing their own thing. Lord Crashin says, I've been watching a lot of Fast and Furious movies. Do they time certain types of Gundams to a character that reappears in other shows like FF does, or are they just other versions of that model for other people? I think you mean tie certain types of Gundams to a character. So I would say that generally pilots don't, like if you see a pilot in multiple shows, they might have an upgrade version of their Gundam, but it's rare. Like, it's weird to me anyway. In Gundam Wing, there's a whole period where the Wing Zero is Zex has the Wing Zero, and the Epion is being piloted by Hero, and that's like weird. Like that's a whole like trade-off thing, but like in general, you pilot your thing. And there's like little periods where like someone else is piloting. Like I think there's one. I think Dorothy pilots very briefly, or not Dorothy. Heidi. I think Heidi pilots very briefly. The Death Scythe. Is that Heidi? Is that her name? I can't remember. The girl who is barely in Gundam Wing, but in Gundam Wing fan fiction and also approved manga, she's like Duo's partner, and I believe their name was Heidi. And forgive me, it's been a while, but yeah, I mean that there's a little bit of trade off there, but most of the time, like the style of Gundam that you pilot or mobile suit that you pilot is probably the same if you are a reoccurring character across seasons. Just because you are like often, not always, often the idea is if you're a mobile suit pilot, you just pilot whatever. But once you get a Gundam, you have found your thing. That's your thing, and you're doing your thing with your thing. All right, so at some point we gotta. I'm just gonna read this this quote here. This is a quote from VentureBeat. Other places have reported this story as well, but I got this from the good old folks at VentureBeat. David Helgelson, former Unity CEO and current board member, said the company fucked up on many levels with its price increase. The company said it's planning to backpedal on the fee by making changes to the policy. So, are they just like giving up this shit? No. They're not giving up the fight. They have realized they have lost this battle. The war rages. Because Unity cannot close Pandora's box. They cannot put the genie back in the bottle. They have lost the trust of many of the people. Hello, the Barbatos is coming along. It is. Hello to you, Obi. Yes, we just started it tonight. Currently, we're working on the head. We finished the chest already. And this kit's coming together pretty all right. But yeah, so here's the deal. Unity did a fucking Twitter thread. They didn't have the fucking decency to make a PNG apology photo. They did a thread instead. And I think that's cowardly. Again, before we continue, I do want to just stress this is not an attack on employees of Unity who obviously didn't want this shit. Told them about it. According to one report, informed them about the concept of Humble Bundle. At least there's been a lot of attack PNGs. Yes, there were a lot of attack PNGs, but we did not get an apology PNG. We got a thread instead, which is, of course, cowardly. Basically, they're really like, hey. Now, I know that some people were like, what? There was no misunderstanding. What the fuck? They have to say that because they're not wrong. They didn't fuck up. They did. But they didn't fuck up. They did. There's people were misunderstanding what they were trying to do, and they weren't clear enough. They were very clear, and people definitely understood what they were trying to do. They knew that people would be unhappy. They didn't think enough people would be unhappy. They thought people would grin and bear it because what are they going to do? Lose money instead of paying them a weird price when that fundamentally changes their deal and could bankrupt them. Instead of paying for that, what are they going to do? Spend that money instead to port to use a different game engine? What? Nah, they wouldn't. Oh, some of them are going to do that? Oh. They knew that people would be unhappy. They did not take into consideration how many people would be unhappy. And of course, there are some people who don't give a shit about that because the company went public like 3 years ago, and now there's a board, and it sucks. And I did see somebody out there trying to fucking defend. They're like, don't blame John. Don't believe John, which is like, definitely blame John. Blame the board of people that like the person from Iron Source and the shitty people that came in from Twitter and all these other people. Like, blame them. It's like, well, I also blame them. But like, also blame the CEO. Like, completely. Like, totally. Like, they all have a part in this fuck up. Like, they all have capability in this. This is it takes a village to ruin a company's reputation very quickly and very easily. It is unbelievable how totally and like just a complete like I understand. If you want to say, Pat, the people who are be most affected by this are a very small portion of their business, right? Or not even their business. It's a small portion of their of the business that they have that they don't really care about, right? Not a lot of people, like customers that they actually care about, would be mad about this. But the people who give them bug fixes for free, people that troubleshoot to make their games work and go, hey, this isn't working right and this is weird, we made this fix. Like, I don't think that anyone on that board realizes that the folks they license their engine to um, give them free labor. Like, I don't think they have any concept of that. And when that goes away, then all the weird enterprise bullshit they're trying to do suddenly costs them way more money. And I don't think they have any real concept of that, any real understanding of what this, like, what the trickle down effect of this is for them. Yeah. But yes, definitely like the entire suite of people, like the entire like top tier buck stops here. We make the call people. You can blame all of them. It is a group effort of the executive suite to just completely, utterly, and totally fuck over everyone who's worked very hard to make that place a place that, like, makes a lot of money. It is, yeah, it's wild. Helgeson basically was just like, he was the former CEO, so he's kind of like the spokesman that, like, people are like, oh yeah, right, yeah. Basically, they're not saying we're getting rid of it, but we're like, oh, okay, all right, okay. Also, a thing to consider, which I assume they did consider, but I hadn't considered, is the European Union is probably going to fucking take a look at this shit. They're probably going to take a look at this. The pricing as it would go into effect, which now they're going to pull back on a bit. But yeah, the European Union antitrust would probably have something to say about these pricings and these changes to people's deals, these retroactive changes to people's deals. I bet they have some thoughts on that. I'm just going to guess that they do. Yes. But yeah, basically, look, are they going to pull back completely? They're going to, like, turn the dial back, just be like, hey, forget we goofed? No. They are going to pull back as little as they think they can get away with. And they'll pull back a little more. At the end of the day, they're going to make more money. They're going to have lost some people. They will have lost some employees. They will have lost some evangelists. They will have become the butt of the joke. And then things will kind of cool down and move on. And I'm hearing from more and more people about porting and leaving and all of that. So folks that were making free games. Also, there was a small story about, if you're part of a charity, if your game is for charity, you're part of a charity event, you can get exempt. Guess who decides what is and isn't a charity? That's right. It's Unity. So if your charity is the nonprofit Planned Parenthood, nope, that's not a charity to Unity, does not count. So if you make a game where all the proceeds from that game go to Planned Parenthood, the developers of that game just have to pay Unity their fucking blood money. Fun, right? With their proprietary way of finding out what those numbers are that they don't want to share. And you can understand why they won't want to share it. Yeah. Basically, they quote unquote showed their true colors, and it is completely and totally reasonable to be like, yeah, no. What's the next thing they're going to do that just completely fucks me is a reasonable response. Seems like everyone is stabbing the livestock to see how much bleeding the market will tolerate. Yeah, oh, totally. That is a very fair assessment. That is happening across the board. If the company has a board, so Basically, if a company is publicly traded, they are currently doing whatever they can to make as much money as possible, uh, especially if that means shooting themselves in the foot. If they are shooting themselves in the foot in the attempt to make as much money as possible, that is fine. For whatever reason, that has been decided as being totally okay and possibly cool to just be like, yeah, I mean, we can fuck over a lot of people while we do it. And then if the business goes downhill, whatever, there's other businesses that are thriving, and there's new technologies to exploit, and there are new people to fuck over, and whatever. Another thing for my resume. I must know somebody else in the biz that is hiring, that is looking for someone in the executive suite. I'll just go there and fuck those people over as well. Hooray! Capitalism. Yep. Movie studios are bragging about how much money they're losing to strikes as some sort of strategy. Oh no, that's not for that, Lord Crashington. They're not bragging about losing money for that. They're doing it to try to get public opinion to shift away from supporting strikes. They're trying. It's a two-pronged attack. You wait out the strikers. It's all about that. You're not being like, and in the public, a thing that everyone has to do if you run a company that is dealing with the possibility, or in this case, obviously, actual people striking, is you have to try to get the public to be mad at them. It works wonders if you've been able to convince people that unions are inherently bad, and the folks that are in a union are garbage and lazy and already earn enough money. That has worked wonders with people's opinions on teachers and teachers unions. And that does not, of course, when we say that, we being garbage people, we're not talking, of course, about police unions or police associations. We're not talking about them, right? That's important. That union is important. We're not talking about that union. We're, of course, talking about the other greedy unions that should be just happy they have a job. Well, Lord Crashington, the plan of not doing anything has worked because their plan is to belittle people and wait it out because they don't care if they lose money. They just don't care if they lose any money. They don't care if they have to close down some stuff. They don't care if productions are off. They kind of care if movies come out and no one goes to see it, but that hasn't really bore out yet. It will take a longer before that bores out. That they're weird, bad promotion where they have audience people that they pay money to say things, but, we're just paying them and they're just saying exactly what we wanted them to say. That's whatever. They don't care. That will kind of bear out eventually. But actually, the thing they're trying to do is put pressure on showrunners, like they tried to do with Drew Barrymore and Bill Maher and The Talk. The View is probably going to come back. The View could get publicly shamed into not actually doing it, but The View is like a big enough entity that they can probably get away with it. And it's the same old story with that, where it's like, well, what about all the, union members, these writers, these actors, these millionaire actors, because you always say millionaire and billionaire. You don't say those actors who can't afford health insurance through it and have other jobs and are big names that nobody put pressure on Mary. He just couldn't stand not spewing his shit on TV. No, last work, people put pressure on him and he's not doing it. Legitimately, he has a bunch of reasons he's not going to do the show anymore. Like Drew Barrymore backed out, and so he blinked and he backed out as well. Pressure actually works. So in that case, it did. Now, could it also be that everyone he asked to be on his show said no? And he couldn't get guests to do the show? Because they said they weren't going to do a monologue. They were just going to do panel. Oh, you thought you were saying they put pressure? No, yes, Lashbrook. They anybody that works in daytime or evening, every showrunner who is also the host. If you are a host and a showrunner of a show on late night and daytime, they are putting pressure on you to come back. They are threatening your staff. They are threatening your contracts. All in conversation. They are not saying we will get rid of this. They are saying it's going to be very hard to get that price on this thing. It's going to be hard to renew these contracts. The studios are putting pressure on people to become scabs. Yes. Yes, no, that is very true, right? And a response to a lot of people, like it's a funny thing where you talk to people, like I've talked to people who have been in unions I have talked to people who are benefiting from their, in the moment and in the long run, benefited, and they're just like, it's so weird that so many people are striking, and it's like, is it? Is it weird? I don't think it is. I think the wealth disparity is so high in this country that people are like, fuck off. I gotta do something. I gotta do something. Yeah, it does. None of it surprises me in the least. It's weird that there's so much positive strike sentiment going on these days. So I think in small doses, in small places across the country, obviously there are people out there who are just like, I like AI, I like Fiverr existing, I think the gig economy is good, I don't take cabs anymore, I just take Ubers and I don't think about it. You know, there are plenty of people who that is just how their life is going to be, that's who they're going to be and how they're going to operate, and you can't change that or change their minds. But I do think that there are some people out there that are like, hey, fuck yeah. You make that money. You get that. Yeah, you do deserve that shit. Obviously, there are people that aren't going to be there. There are people out there that just fundamentally, in their heart of hearts, cannot fathom a world where UPS drivers make more than they do at their job, because that is how some people see this, and that is how some people will always see these things. They will always see people trying to do better for themselves and the people down the line as, well, I don't get that. And they're so close. That is the joke line. You're so close to understanding that you also should be getting that. And if you go to try to get that, you will get support from us. We will support you in you getting yours. Yes, essential workers getting a fair wage, even though essential workers kept them alive. Teachers should go back to school. Teachers should go back, and because I need to go, like, because I'm home, and why aren't they? Even though teachers are the real heroes, and all this other stuff, and all that other shit, like all that stuff. It is this belief that you getting yours shouldn't be happening because I don't get mine. And they're so close, as I said. Yep. Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the independent contractor stuff is really rough for workers. Yeah. No. I mean, like the UPS workers doing what they had to do. Like, totally. I understand. Like, oh shit. So my stuff might not get here on time. Okay. Like, it sucks, but like, all right. I'd rather they get theirs. Like, the part of airlines that sucks has never been, and to me anyway, there's a lot of things that suck about flying. Pilots and flight attendants, not that problem. I have had one shitty flight attendant in my life that's a story that like lives in my head, and there's like a dozen reasons why that is possible, but that means there have been so many more that were just totally fucking fine and not a problem at all. I don't got a problem with that. When you talk about problems with flights, it is the companies making decisions, and it is TSA. It is never, for me anyway. Again, this is just my personal experience, but for me anyway, my issues with air travel do not involve flight attendants and pilots. Thankless fucking jobs, certainly. And it is, yeah. I mean, so it is lovely that people are so supportive of striking actions and seeing those strikes get resolved positively and seeing people do well with that is great. And hopefully, like I'm hopeful that this strike will end soon and positively, both the writers and the actors strike, and then people can get back to doing shit and doing all that. And again, any studio could make a deal on their own, like A24 did. Any studio is totally within, can totally break from tradition, make their own deal, and go from there. And the fact they haven't is their decision, but they could do that. And I believe A24 only made a deal with the writers. I don't know if they made a deal with the Screen Actors Guild. I cannot remember, but I do know they had made a deal with the writers, so that they could keep making movies. So I could finish some of the movies that were in production. But yeah, nothing stopping other companies from doing the same damn thing if they fucking wanted to. But clearly they fucking don't. Anyway, that all comes back to Unity. Pulling back on some of their terrible ideas. All of their terrible ideas? No. Some of their terrible ideas? Yes. Will people still talk shit about Unity? Yes. Will people still think about alternatives for their next games? 100%. There will be people who will delay games because they're like, nah. You're going to change some shit on me at some other point in the future. And so, can't trust it. And I think that's understandable and reasonable if people are like, I do not trust Unity. I think that is totally right. Fuck Unity, but not that kind of Unity. Indeed. It's rough. Being a darling doesn't pay the bills, but also they were fucking paying the bills. It's not like they were like, if we don't do this, we're fucked. It was like, if we do this, we'll make more money. Like that's it, right? Like this that didn't fundamentally solve any issues. All right. Nice blue piece there. Do I wish this was his own like piece that connected these like three parts? Of course I do. Am I surprised that I just put on a big blue sticker for the shoulder? Nah, I'm not surprised at all. Sometimes you gotta. Sometimes you just gotta. We'll take a pause to the cause in a moment or two, talk about ways you can support the channel. I wanted to see if there was any other short things I could say here. Let's see. Oh, there was an update here on Kotaku. Oh yeah, we've heard you. Blah blah. Yeah, I think that's it. Stuff there. All that Unity shit sucks. All right, let's get this shoulder done, and we'll take a Pause for the cause. Put this on here. Get this into here. There we go. All right, that's our shoulder. And then, of course, it opens up and does some shenanigans there. And eventually go on like that. It doesn't right now because there's no arm. We got to build an arm next. The right arm build continues. But what happens right now is a pause for the cause. This is my opportunity to chat with you about ways you can support the channel. Everything I'm going to talk about here is optional. None of this is stuff that I don't think a lot of you do it, and that's okay. If you want to, you can. These are just ways to support me and my endeavors. Everything is optional. If you are currently a subscriber, you can throw the Bear Cave, the Lego, the site, the Tier 2 Blue emote in the chat. Being a subscriber is the easiest way to support what I do here through cash money, through that, through your Prime Gaming token. If you have Amazon Prime linked with your Twitch, you get that Prime token. You can use that like it's cash. Use that for me. If you're not using it for anybody, please do. But why not me? You can save on a 1 month sub, you can save 25% off. You can save 25% off on 3 month sub. And if you want to do a 6 month sub, you could save 30% off that. And then towards the end of the month, you can save more on gift subs. You can't right now. But gifting a sub is another way to support what I do here. If you already are a subscriber, you don't want to become one, sure. But you could join Unjan and Firestar Man and Aristofan in gifting a sub. We are currently at 49 subscribers. The goal is 50. I shut up about it at 50. If you would like to become a subscriber and get me to that big 5-0, you could gift a sub. You could become a sub. Bits and coins, always appreciate it. If you want to join the Bits leaderboard with Harold and Fleshwife Marie and Puppet Jared, you could do that. These are all various ways through Twitch that you can support what I do here. If you haven't hit the follow button, hit that follow button. I am on my way to 2,000 followers. I'm at 1,987 followers. I would love to get to 2,000. That's an arbitrary number. That would be nice. There are other ways to support me. Oh, that's right. You could jump over to my Patreon at patreon.com/PatBaer. Let me get that going. There's a $1, $3, $5, and $10 tier. There are different rewards for the different tiers. Consider joining me over on Patreon. Thank you for the follow, Obi. Appreciate that. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, we're closer to the big 2,000 followers. So I appreciate that. But yeah, I got a Patreon. Consider jumping in on the Patreon if you want. You don't have to. You can. I do not have an OnlyFans, Obi, but I do have other ways of supporting me. I have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/PatBaer. Join over there. Obviously, subscribing to my YouTube is free if you like some comedy videos and such. I do some stuff over there. Some longer, talking videos about subjects that I want to talk about. Some essays, if you will. And also, there's a membership there. You can join that for $2 a month. You get my Wednesday videos a day early, so you would get them tomorrow. You get my Wednesday video, which I just uploaded and filmed tonight, and I think is pretty funny. Let's see. We'll talk more about that later, of course. We got that. Those are all monthly ways to support me. But what about a one-time donation? What if you're like, Pat, I don't want to become a member. I don't want to join your Patreon, but I'll give you a couple bucks so you can buy a model kit. Well, what about coffee or Stream Elements or PayPal? You could make a donation there. Everything that I make, direct donations, YouTube, which includes AdSense, so watching my videos helps me out, Patreon and Twitch, everything there goes into a fund, and I buy model kits with that. Fucking 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, or almost 2 years ago, I should say, I bought this model kit. I bought this kit because I wanted to build it at some point. I have a backlog. I've got new stuff coming from the backlog. Now, if you want to jump the queue, you can do that. There are various ways to do that. If you want to buy something and I'll build it sooner, you can buy something from my wish list. The next thing I'm going to be building is a knockoff Lego set that a friend of mine sent me money to buy because they don't want to use their Amazon account. And they were like, hey, the personal friend of mine was like, here's some money. Go buy that thing. So in the next thing that I'll be building is the knockoff DeLorean from Back to the Future. Uh, Return to Future is what it says on the box, apparently. That's coming in the mail, and I'll be building that soon. If you also want to build some, or want me to build something and you want to buy it, I got a bunch of things on there. I'll make a dedicated video about the thing that you purchased, and it'll jump the queue. Like I said, I've got Lego sets, I've got model kits, I've got inexpensive kits, expensive kits, knockoff kits, all kinds of weird stuff on here. The last Iron-Blooded Orphans kit that I have not built yet, the Sigrun. The Sigrun is the only kit from Iron-Blooded Orphans in the high grade that I have not built, as far as I can tell. But I got a bunch of different stuff here. Inexpensive kits, expensive kits, like I said, kits with free shipping, kits without free shipping, all kinds of different stuff that I will be happy to build. And you could buy, and then I'll build it. And some really expensive kits there as well, and then some other stuff, because it's nice to have some gear. Because sometimes people want to help me out, but they don't know what to buy, so they just buy gear instead. That's a way to support me, is to buy something, and then you'll have the joy of me really enjoying building it or being frustrated by it, depending. I have a throne wish list. You could buy something there, and it'll act just like the Amazon wish list, but it's a different company. And, of course, you can go to USA Gundam Store, buy a gift card, and then send me a DM on Twitter or a whisper on Twitch with the gift card code, because that is the easiest way to send me that gift card information. If you wanted to do that, you could. Let's see. Those are all the ways to support me that cost money. We'll get back to building very soon. Don't you worry about it. I have a Discord. You're welcome to join that Discord. It is obviously a nice little place. It's free, obviously. Full of fun people. I post build photos at the end of every stream. People post stuff they're working on. It's a nice little place. A couple of video links for you to check out. Pat Baer's Anime Club. If you haven't watched this episode, this is me talking about manga that I think deserves an anime adaptation. The next episode of Pat Baer's Anime Club is tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on Twitch. I'm going to be recording it live. So if you've watched anything from the summer season or you're interested in the fall season, check it out. I've only finished one show this season because a lot of shows got a late start, or they had delays either because of COVID or television athletics in Japan. But one show did end. One of my shows did end. So even though they're not done, we're still going to wrap up, talk about the shows from what I've watched, and then talk about the next ones that are coming out. And that's tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And then Baerly Rehearsed is an ongoing video series where every week I do my best to write and then perform a piece of comedy. And I have rehearsed it at least a couple times. It is barely rehearsed. I'm off book. This one is a comedy piece. It is like a law office's ad with a twist. That's the easiest way to describe it. I think it's pretty good. So I would say if you should check that out, because like I said, it's pretty all right. I'm going to talk about a manhwa that I have been reading, and then I will be talking about some anime that I have been watching, including the show that wrapped up. And I would say my recommendation for all of you would be to get ready for it. We're going to get into it in just a moment here. Hold on one second. I need to check something out real quick, and then we'll get into this. Yes. Okay. I'm going to drink some water, and then we're going to dramatically transition to the overhead, and then we will talk about some manga and some anime, or manhwa, I should say, right now. All right. Let's talk about a manhwa as I work on this arm. Manhwa are South Korean comics. They are Webtoon, you may have heard of webtoons. They are vertical comics. They are all in color. They come out weekly, and of course, it is a industry that people get taken advantage of it, and it's rough. The writers, the people that are modifying web novels into these stories, the artists particularly, it is fucking rough, and it is an industry that I hope goes through some dramatic changes in the near future. I have not said that in a while, and I felt like I should say that because it's been a hot minute since I said, like, hey, I'm talking about this like art form, and I'm talking about these stories that I like from it, but there's also a human cost to it. So I did want to mention that at least. The Player Hides His Past is a action adventure manhwa that is funny. It is. I don't think it would be described as a comedy, but there's a humor element to it that they get right, that is not cheesy and is fun. The premise allows for humor, which I think is a cool idea. So this is not a I've gone back into the past and now I can right the wrongs that have been following me. It's not that kind of story. There is no time travel. It is not an isekai. It is a series about a character who becomes very strong, and it is a series where there are monsters and guilds and fighting and all of that. That is true. So this is a game, basically a VR game, was very popular, and now it's real. And a twist is, so instead of the, oh, I woke up in the game and the game is real, or, oh, now I have powers and the game is real, basically, if you played a character, if you had a character in the game, there was a good chance that you have fused with your character. Now, because it was a VR game, by default, most people just played as themselves, variations of themselves. So, it's just, hey, it's me, only I'm faster, or I'm stronger than I used to be, or I have mana and I can like do some cool shit, and I'm better. I'm good with swords now because it's a video game world that became real. And I should also say they're up the company that made it, like, obviously didn't realize that they were being used by some sort of thing. But there are updates to the game. There are because it's a live service game, so there's new updates. And the new updates are like new challenges that humanity has to beat or will be destroyed. And one of those new updates comes in. And suddenly, this mild-mannered guy that is like, he's working a dead-end job. He's just like a dude. He played that game years ago. He never had an awakening. He never became a player in the game. Suddenly, he becomes a player. And it's like, oh shit, I'm in the game now. But, unlike most people who were just playing as a variation of them, a variation of themselves. Oh, no. Our guy was a young preteen when the game came out. So now he has to contend with the fact that he's now kind of LARPing as this European aristocrat, like he had like a backstory, the last of a dying, the only family in there. And he's a demon hunter, which is a class that nobody really uses because the demon hunter, like the NPCs for demon hunters all got wiped out. So it was not a popular class when it was just a game. And now that it's quote unquote real life, it's still not a popular class. It's basically a forgotten class. So our guy is dealing with the fact that, oh no, my like dark twisted story, my like weird character is real and in charge. And so it's not a melding of the two characters. the character is in charge of our main character, or our main guy's like body and soul, but our guy is still like there in like a shadow form, basically like freaking out. And so there's a lot of fun interplay of like the guy that is going to drink tea and be posh and like demand people show him respect and use good manners, is also on the inside being like, that's a lot of money, and oh god, it's so cold, and like, oh man, we're gonna die, because he's low level. He's in some high pressure situations, but he is very low level throughout most of these things. He basically gets a boost because the reason why he got awoken, or his abilities got awoken, is because there are now demons. There have been lots of monsters, but there haven't been demons. And so now that there are demons, our guy can shine. Also, he figures out how to use magic, which is pretty fun. Like, he just kind of figures out how to like... this is hard to describe. So, a thing about this that I found very interesting is the idea that... So, he's a demon hunter. But in his backstory that he wrote for himself, he said that he could use magic, which demon hunters can't normally do. But he said, I can use magic. And because he said it, he can will it into existence. And that is an interesting idea of like that kind of overpoweredness of like, all right, so he's figured, because he said it, it makes it true. And if other people had LARPed or like role played their way through the game, then they might be stronger than they they would be otherwise. And that's kind of interesting to me. So it leads to this manhwa leads to a lot of misunderstandings, as he's like much more harsh than he used to be. There's a whole fun interaction where all his sisters, his older overbearing sisters, all discover that he is a player and is doing stuff, and they all show up, and they all remember when he was like acting like this kind of dark and mysterious, like, you know, prepubescent boy phase. And he has to kind of interact with them and his like niece, who's just like, why is my uncle weird? It's a unique take on a very like straightforward type of series, and I've been enjoying it. The action is fun. His interactions with, like, there are some people that just want him to join their guild, and he does not have time for that shit. And it is fun to watch these people like deal with like rejection and trying to make it work. There's like a fun supporting cast of characters. There's not like a lot of other characters. I actually am a little surprised there aren't more of a supporting cast, but it's a fun one. So if you're looking for a fun manhwa, I would recommend The Player Hides His Past, because I think it's pretty cool. Some good shit. Let's see. All right, we'll clean that up. Got a panel on this. So basically, this was all blue, and we had to put a white sticker on it so it matches the other side, which is weird that we had to do that instead of, you know, them, but whatever. That's what we got going here. These are gonna take panel lines and look real good. It's gonna take marker and look real sharp. Lovely, lovely white, and then we'll hit a little bit of black. The black won't show up too much in photography, but in person, this will show up and look good. So I'm doing that for me, not so much for you, but for me, I want that blue to have a little bit of a spark. Anyway, we got to talk about some anime. Now that I've been talking a lot about that, we're going to talk about Undead Murder Farce, which I didn't get to on Saturday because I had the stuff from Thursday to talk about. We'll talk about Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead, and of course, the final episode of Sweet Reincarnation. And we'll be able to talk about my ongoing quest in this show, which was, did this character get to cook something or not? The age-old question. Did he get to cook? We'll be able to answer that as I prep to get this arm done here. Undead Murder Farce. All right, so we are trying to solve this. That werewolf girls are disappearing. Werewolves might be involved. Werewolves are getting murdered. We're not sure what's going on there. There was a girl that was basically like, yeah, I'm the werewolf, but like, is she the werewolf that has been killing people? That seems unlikely, but maybe it is. A bunch of shenanigans have happening in Undead Murder Farce, and a reminder that this murder investigation is being led by a mortal woman who is currently just a head in a bird cage, and her assistant, who is like a martial arts maid, Shizuku, and of course their partner, Suguru, who is constantly having to resist the urge to just become a full monster, a full demon, and run amok, and then have to be put down. He's doing his best to not be a full fucking demon. He's trying real hard. I can't remember if this is a one or the... Is this one or the other? I don't think both these go on here. Yeah. I think we either put this on or we put the other part on. So we'll do that, and then we'll see. Yes. So this is the one or the other. We got this part of the arm, and then we've got the other part, and I believe we're going to do the other part because I believe this other part looks better. But we'll build both and then take a look at it, see how we feel. Anyway, so we left here with Shizuka sacrificing herself, going down this waterfall because a werewolf yeeted Aya, the head in the birdcage, and so they get separated. There's going to be some more murder investigation stuff going on here, trying to figure out who done it and why they did it and all that. So more of that. Basically, the mayor is like, hey, I will tell you how to use this diamond to find the werewolf village, because that's the whole reason they had the diamond in the first place. They need to find the werewolf village before our terrible, awful people led by Moriarty find that village and use some werewolf DNA to make Jack the Ripper even more deadly, because he's a homunculus, basically. God, this anime sounds like complete and utter nonsense, and it is, but it's very good. Getting these pieces out is quite difficult. They're hard to get at with snippers. I'm having an issue getting these out. I'm going to try doing the other... You know what? I'm going to do it the reverse way, and then just... I'm going to snip them out the other way, and then I will just clean it up. Let's just do that. That works. I got these out, now I got to clean them up. I need F10 and F8. Okay. Yeah, I got an F8 and an F10. I think we're going to go with this arm choice. Anyway, Shizuka wakes up in the werewolf village, and some of the girls there are trying to keep her warm and warm her up. Just they saved her. There's Nora, who is the leader of these girls, and she's just like, yeah, on rainy days in the forest, werewolf girls just get murdered, and and it's very clear they got shot in the face. So humans are clearly involved in that. But because it's raining, they can't track down who's doing the murder, which is a good cover for it. Like, it's raining, you can, you can do that, and then they don't know who did it, which I guess makes a lot of sense. Pop this in there, okay, and this pops up like that. All right. All right. Ooh, there we go. Got rockets going in here. And then a rocket goes in there. And I do think I like this on the arm more than I like the beam thing. So I think we'll put this on here. How's this going? Speaking of nonsense, watching Code Geass with a watch group, and I just hate the show. Yeah, Lastbrook, I'm not even gonna. I can't. I can't with that. I just can't. I cannot with Code Geass. I think the mobile suit design in there, the mecha design in there, is pretty damn good. But that is the only nice thing I can say about that show is I think the mecha design there is not bad. But that's about it. John could not tell you, cannot remember. I believe the only thing I think I remember about Code Geass is Whack-Donald's. There's a fake McDonald's, and I believe it is called Whack-Donald's. And I might even have that wrong, but I believe there is a knockoff McDonald's in that series, and that is about all I can remember. Okay, so Shizuka, there's a trial. They're going to do a trial because they think that Shizuka is the person responsible for killing the werewolves. The werewolves think this, which is not true. And then there's a gunshot noise, and but the crime scene and Nora, who we just saw Nora. She was shot and then dumped there. That is the it is believed, but we don't have any proof. Shizuka's not necessarily a detective. She's just a girl. I mean, she's a martial arts maid, but she's not a prime detective. So, we don't know if that's the case. Meanwhile, Aya and the Lloyd agents, the Royce agents, I should say, they're going towards the village, and then they get attacked by Victor. That's right. Based on the notes left by Dr. Frankenstein, not Victor von Frankenstein's. This is not Frankenstein's monster. This is Victor Moriarty's monster. It's fucking Frankenstein. It's fucking Frankenstein. It's fine. It's fucking Frankenstein. But yeah, motherfucking Frankenstein is here, doing his thing, being a real jerk. Victor is here, doing his dark shit. And that's the end of the episode, and it's a good cliffhanger. This is clearly the last case. I believe we have 2 more episodes left of the show. It has been wild and very fun. I really enjoy this. This was probably the biggest surprise for me of the season has been this show, because it is just so weird and fun and cool, and there's so much like characters from classical fiction that are in there just wildly and randomly. It's been a joy. I look forward to more Undead Murder Farce. Zom 100. This is a weird thing for me to say. There's a good portion of this episode that's just about paddleboard yoga, which is a real thing I've never fucking heard of, which is like yoga moves on like a paddleboard, like a boat on the water. That's like a thing people have been doing, I guess. Enough people have been doing it that it's a thing that got referenced in this manga that got turned into an anime. So, I don't fucking know. But paddleboard yoga is a thing that was just a thing on the bucket list to try to knock off, and everyone kind of humored our guy. Because remember, this is a post-apocalypse where Akira, our main character, is trying to fulfill his bucket list and survive. They are traveling to try to find, to go to Gunma, to go see if they can track down if Akira's family survived. Anyway, also in this episode, they meet a German girl. What is it with anime and having German girls who love anime in their shows? This is not the first otaku from Germany. Is it that they just love the way that Germans say Japanese words? I don't know. But anyway, we met Beatrix. Beatrix is now just in the party. She is trying to deliver fish. She's just trying to deliver some fish, and she joins the crew. because they're like, oh wait, sushi is on. Uh, um, they want to go the fish because like on the bucket list is sushi, so they're like, oh, we can do that. And then they fight a bunch of zombies. Beatrix and Akira have to fight them, but they're actually luring them so that Kensho and Suzuka can defeat the zombies, and they do, and it's great. Congratulations, everybody. Everybody's working real hard. Anime loves almost too much about Germany, says Lord Crashington. Yeah. But in this case, I was still just like, oh, there's now a German girl in this. You know what? Sure, anime. Let's also have a German girl in here. Cool. We finished an arm. They have some sushi, and then Beatrix is just like there's no real moment where she's just like, yeah, I'm going to stick with you. She just is. And I guess as an otaku, she's happy to hang out with people and Japanese folks, I guess. I don't know. It just seems weird that Suzuka, who is the level-headed one in the crew, is just like immediately accepting of this weird girl, but she is, and so that's part of the story that we got. So okay, and F-16. No, this is that part there. Okay. They run into a hot spring, and they're hanging out at the hot spring. Turns out, bunch of zombies. Got to run away. And at that point, like multiple times in the show, I've been like, yeah, they're gonna be fucking zombies around, dumbasses. But yeah, they're zombies. Akira runs into Suzuka, and they have a nice conversation about love. And then it's a nice long conversation they have about relationships and love. And then Beatrix and Kensho just kind of like rejoin the group. And that's the end of the episode. And it's like, okay, sure. I don't know. But yeah, now we got a new German girl in the party. And that's a weird thing. And I don't know if she's going to stick with it. I don't know if she's going to go all the way to Gunmo with them or not. Or who knows? She could die in the next episode. I'll say this, friends. Kind of surprised she lived. I guess if you are going to put that much effort to a character, you want to see you want her to stick around for a little bit. But often characters like this just get added to then, for a little bit of cheap, like, oh, they seem nice. Oh, and they're dead. Like the flight attendants from earlier in the show. That did not stick. That weirdly enough did not stick around. All right, so this goes like that. I just built this on the other side, and it's very funny that I'm like, why can't I figure this out? I just did this for the other arm. All right, there we go, like that. And then this goes like this. This looks like this. This attaches on there. Great. This is the other shoulder, by the way. We're building the other shoulder here. B35, so that we can do the other shoulder blade here. These shoulders are identical, so we're just kind of going through the flow. The last anime, the final episode of Sweet Reincarnation. That's right, folks. We're closing the book on Sweet Reincarnation. There's been a lot of subterfuge, a lot of shenanigans, but right now, Squall has been saved, and some of his soldiers died in this ambush. He's a young man, and he is, he's not necessarily he was not prepared for the mental toll of people under his watch not making it. Meanwhile, the guy that sent army out there that thought he was going to ambush them, when he realizes, oh no, not only did we not get this done, everybody knows that this was us, so we retreat, and they kind of retreat, and the war is definitely coming to an end. This conflict is kind of seeing its conclusion, uh, partially to the help of Pastry. Um, so he's really depressed. He isolates himself, and people ask. Pastry gets asked to help him because he helped one of his Mark and the girl whose name I can't remember, who were like seemed to be kind of important characters, kind of just fell by the wayside as the plot continued. But they were at one point important characters enough that they're like, hey, can you help out Squall? And because he's really plagued by guilt. There's a party, and Squall is presented with a tart tatin, which is a dessert made. It is a new dessert for our guy, Pastry, because it's using ingredients that are accidental ingredients that he did not plan to use. And he's like, look, it was created by mistake, yet it's a success, which is a very heavy-handed metaphor for saying basically, hey, just because you made mistakes doesn't mean you failed. You got home safely, and it wasn't perfect, but that's not necessarily a failure, which is like, oh, okay, you know what? Sure. Pastry gets some rewards. He gets the goats that he's been after because, of course, he wants to revolutionize the food that he can create in his father's domain, which eventually will be his domain, of course. And he gets the wine press that he was been after, so he's very excited about that. But there is the royal capital. Licorice, his fiance, is invited to the royal capital. So then Pastry has to get a dress for her. But now he has goat milk and sugar, and he finally makes a cheesecake for Licorice. And then he starts experimenting with different types of fruit, and he gets to cook a lot. And that's the end of the episode. This show, where most episodes, the pastry chef who got reincarnated in a fantasy world, who only wants to cook things, but keeps having responsibility thrust upon him, finally just gets to cook some shit and is so happy to be able to do so. Sweet Reincarnation is a perfectly okay anime. It is a isekai that is not poor looking in terms of animation quality or voice acting or anything like that. There are far worse shows out this season, and we'll talk more about those tomorrow. It is a show that is forgettable. I will at the end of this year, as I go back through my favorite anime of the year, I guarantee you that I will be surprised that this show came out in 2023. Because I will probably forget all about it. This and The Great Cleric, I think, are totally like watchable, okay. Whereas The Great Cleric has some real garbage animation. Sweet Reincarnation definitely had some money put into it. It's got some pretty good looks to it. It's not the show this season. If I'm like, well, if there's one show, if you're only going to watch one show this season, it better be this. Like, no, I'm not telling you that. But if you are looking for a totally relaxing, fine show to watch on Crunchyroll, if you're trying to justify your subscription to Crunchyroll, you could do a lot fucking worse than Sweet Reincarnation. And that is all the anime that I could talk to you about today. Now I want to hear from you, friends. What are you watching right now? What are you playing? You got any video games? You watching any movies? You go to the movies this weekend? You watching any TV or series? Deep diving into some books? Watching some old stuff that you can't believe you missed the first time? Like, what's got you going? What are you watching? I'm always interested to hear from you about that kind of stuff. I'll tell you, Monday is Hearthstone Day. I did not play Starfield today because there are weekly quests that come out on Mondays, and I try to complete as many of those as I can. There's a daily and, of course, weeklies in Hearthstone. And we're leading up to a mini set expansion. So I have been having fun playing Hearthstone with some of my decks, getting some time in with those decks before the inevitable new cards get added and new archetypes get added. I'm not playing any Twist. I'm not interested in Twist as a format, but it does feel like some of the people in my like ranking in Wild are playing that, which I'm happy for them. I hope they're having a good time, but also it means that there seem to be less people playing shitty decks. Decks that they just play just to climb, like really boring decks. Because I'm all about playing weird, silly decks, and if I'm tired of losing to the same like 3 decks, so I'm happy those people seem to be playing Twist, which is a newish format, and I hope that they have fun in that. And yeah, I've got my decks in Hearthstone and I'm playing that and having a good time doing that. Watching a lot of anime, of course. I watched a beautiful show from Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. This was a show from the previous week. It was a show that was at a beautiful venue with a enormously huge stained glass mural that was the backdrop for the ring that is lit up and absolutely gorgeous. At one point, a character, quote unquote, broke it, like the lights went out on cue, which was very fun. Her voice was so loud that when it got thrown at it, the stage, the lights went out. It was very funny. And some good matches in that. We excited to see that. Love Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. There was an event that happened late last night where we got some commentary. No English commentary, unfortunately, but there was Japanese commentary. Often a lot of their weekly shows don't have commentary. They're just live, or just shows that either were recorded or are streamed live, and they don't have audio commentary. But this one did. And it's kind of fun now and again to have that. Get a little different vibe there. I will be checking out what y'all have to say in just a moment. I believe the wrestling match that took place on a bullet train for DDT happened today or yesterday. I can't wait for that to go up. I'm behind on DDT wrestling. I try to catch a lot of their big shows, but I don't catch all of them. But I will be watching that when it is available on Wrestle Universe, because what the fuck? Am I not going to watch the bullet train match? That sounds incredible and nonsense. Of course I'm going to watch that shit. So that'll be a future video, and of course I'll give you the lowdown on that when that comes out. We're doing our only other blue piece here, which again will require some white. But yeah, E is over. We have done all of the blue that is on this kit, so we can get rid of the E there. And then I will need to put on a white sticker to make this one section of this look different. So we'll do that now. I'm going to now, as I apply this sticker, which is number 14, I will be reading what y'all have to say. Finishing up Disgaea 4 and Outlaw Star, but enjoying non-anime Taskmasters. Hell yeah. I am behind on Taskmaster. I gotta dig in and try to get caught up on Taskmaster. I do really enjoy the premise, and of course, if you have not watched the second season, the second series, I should say, of New Zealand Taskmaster, it is the only international Taskmaster that is in any way close to the original, and is mostly because the cast of Series 2 of the New Zealand Taskmaster is so fucking good. They are so funny and so talented. It's weird to say, but that is one of my favorite seasons of Taskmaster, is that particular one. All right, we got our sticker on here. Played a bunch of AC6, got the worst ending, says Lashbrook. Almost done with the New Game Plus run. Hell yeah, enjoy your New Game Plus. Get that better ending. And you're talking about Armored Core here, yes. We chatted about that on Sunday. I or Saturday about how we're talking about Armored Core, not Ace Combat, and you also a good game indeed. I've been watching Fast and Furious movies over the past couple of weeks, says Lord Crashington, which spread across Netflix, Peacock, and Freevee. Skipped most of these between 1 and maybe 7 or 8. So now I'm filling in the lore gaps I didn't get before. 2 and 3 are not good. Yeah, 2 is not good. Like, 1 is hokey and fun. 2 is not a good movie. 3 I thought was... See, I will say this. As an Initial D fanboy, I think Tokyo Drift is awesome. But also because Tokyo Drift came out when there weren't going to be other movies. So I don't consider it to be a Fast and the Furious movie. It is now, especially retcons. If you just think of Tokyo Drift as Tokyo Drift, a street racing movie set in Japan, I think that movie is fucking great. If you're like, well, it's not like what the series becomes, yeah, it's not. So it like doesn't really fit with the rest of the world because it wasn't meant to, because there wasn't meant to be a Fast and the Furious 4. It's a direct-to-video weird offshoot. It should be a sub-series. Like, it should be like Hobbs and Shaw, where it doesn't really count and doesn't really matter. But it is. It's mainline. Vin Diesel, the rest of the crew returns before going off the deep end with 5 on. I don't know if any other big franchise has ever done. FF has done. I mean, the closest I can say to Final Fantasy, or not Final excuse me, sorry. The closest thing I can say as another series that gets anywhere near the nonsense that they're getting is like James Bond movies kind of don't fundamentally change James Bond, but James Bond movies change with the times. But yes, as far as a franchise that just goes, we're about this now. We weren't about this before, but now we're this. It is unique in its weirdness. A new patch for Disney Dreamlight Valley dropped, including some Halloween stuff, so I started playing that again. Otherwise, I try to finish the main quest for Starfield. Hell yeah. I've never played that the Disney game. I've heard good things about it. I never ended up checking it out. Probably should at some point. Trying to download Titanfall 2, but the EA app is refusing to cooperate. Lashbrook, very sorry to hear that. I hope you can download Titanfall 2 and get to play that, because Titanfall 2 fucking rules. As you are well aware, Titanfall 2 is some good fucking shit. So I hope you do get to download that. I need a hand here. Let's see. I've also been playing Starfield and got a new companion in Barrett, who seems neat so far. I also did the Jeff Gerstmann technique to just extend the starter ship's length to fit more cargo holds on rather than scrounge up money to get a huge cargo ship, at least for now. Yeah, I think that is... I have not done that method, but I respect Jeff's decision to go that way. I think that is a fine way. I will add New Zealand Taskmaster to our watch list. Yes, I think the first series of Taskmaster New Zealand is fine. I think the second one is fucking one of the best. There are just some wild weirdos, and everyone is no one's sub game in that season is I don't want to be here. There are like some people who are a little more posh than the others and a little older, a little more established in the world, but they all want to play the game. And some of them are fucking wild weirdos. And also Guy Montgomery is there, and Guy Montgomery rules. So that made me very happy for Guy. Too Fast, Too Furious is at the bottom of my Fast and Furious ranking. Yeah, it's not good. Tokyo Drift was a product of his era, with the big opener is set to Kid Rock's Ba with the Ba. Yeah. Look, Tokyo Drift, like I said, I'm not going to get too much into Tokyo Drift, but Tokyo Drift is, I think, a fine Japanese street racing movie. Hey, the Ghost Cat. Welcome. I'm working on a model kit, and we are talking about Tokyo Drift. Because if you just take Tokyo Drift as whatever you want to call it, as a street racing movie, as a fish out of water. Oh no, a ghost. Welcome Raiders. I'm Pat Baer. I built model kits and Lego sets. occasionally I do things that are not that are video games and such. Um, but it's a nice time. Hit the follow button if you'd like. I'm chasing 2,000 followers. We're currently at 1988. A fine year for me because 1988 there was still very good silly wrestling when I was 8 years old because I'm old. It's no 1985. Yeah. Thank you for the follow, Spare Keys. Appreciate that. I assume that's not the actor's natural accent. Yeah, no, Lord Crashington. A lot about that movie is wild, but to me it's in the context of Tokyo Drift is just like a movie they added the name Fast and Furious to, and then they like retroactively were like, no, that's canon. We're making it canon. We're gonna fucking fight our way into making this part of the universe. It doesn't need to be. It could just be the weird movie that came out, but instead we're gonna fucking make it part of the world, which is nonsense. But I can appreciate the nonsense. I gotta get in here. It's hard to get into this, so we'll try this way. Maybe I'll just snap. Yeah, I'll just do this. There we go. I'll just clip off these extra pieces that I need here. Get into what I need to get into. I'm remembering Hugh Laurie for the first time after only seeing him, hearing Hugh Laurie on House. So you just imagine that, yeah, every actor, unless you know otherwise, has a strong British accent, and they've just been using their American accent. I think that's fair. I think that's fair enough. I also like how Fast and Furious uses the post-credit stinger as soon as Marvel movies popularized it. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Look, Fast and Furious are like OC comic book movies. They are a cinematic thing. Obviously, now there have been, offshoot movies and wild characters and a bunch of nonsense, and it goes all over the place, and it's wild and weird. But it happens. The Wire has 2 Brits. Yes, that's true. Andrew Lincoln in his Southern accent. I always talk about how I couldn't watch. Oh God, what is? It's not the Vampire Diaries. That's a different one. What is the It's the vampire TV show where there's a diner, and a girl, and it's the thing. Vampires have been integrated in society. It's a southern. It takes place in a southern location. I don't remember the name of it. True Blood. Thank you, Aristophan. Aristophan, thank you for True Blood. That is what I was thinking of. I couldn't watch True Blood because of the accents. Not because they were bad, but because everybody was doing independent fucking study on those accents. You know what I mean? Like, everybody had a different southern accent. And you're like, well, Pat, not everybody grew up in... No, people from that small town, people who were related to each other had different southern accents because they all just, like, went on their own way and it, like, just did their own thing. And it ended up being, to me anyway, very frustrating because I was just like, no, like, come on, there's got to be continuity. Like, nobody got hired to, like, make sure everyone was learning the same, or at least enough of the townspeople that had grown up there and lived their whole life there. Like, they got to sound similar a little bit. That was not the case. I did not love that. We're going with the little arm rockets here as well. I'm just going to go with that because I think these look way cooler underneath here. We'll put this on the arm. And then we got a lot done on this goddamn kit tonight. I will say that, friends. As far as kits go. Okay, so it goes like that. How did this fit in? It's very fun for me to try to remember how this works. Oh, it goes up like here. Considering I just did it. I like to say that, once I build one side, I know how to do the other. And it goes faster. And that's not always the case. All right, here we go. We got our arms. We got our weapons here. They can fold down, which is neat. Unfortunately, because this kit has a big weapon, we do not have claw hands to swap out, which is a real shame, because one of my favorite things about the Barbatos and kits from this line are the big cool claws, although our legs will have some cool claw elements to it, so that'll look good. So at least we have that when we get to the feet, which I assume is, yes, the feet are next. Of course, we have built the upper body. But yeah, we got a lot done with this kit. We got the head, the chest, and the arms. There's a little bit of a backpack that needs to get built, and the weapons. I don't think we're going to finish this on Thursday, but we'll be very close to finish this on Thursday. And then we probably will finish it on... I'm going to actually take a photo on there, because I think it'll be more striking. And then we will wrap it up on Saturday, is my goal. 1 through 5 are of... Okay, so Lord Crashing gives us a goal here. That 1 through 5 of Fast and Furious are on Netflix. Peacock has 5 through 8 and 10 and Hobbs and Shaw. And Freevee has 9. And that sucks. It's cool that all of them are available, because you wonder if maybe a couple weren't. But that does suck. And it also... sucks that we're going to say goodbye. I want to thank everybody that came in on this raid. I want to thank everybody that hung out. We, of course, are not done here. We are going to go on a raid. We are going to go hang out with some other people. That is how we end every stream. We got raided, so of course we must pay it forward and go hang out with some other folks, because we always end with a raid, as John says. And we're going to raid Mary Kish. We always, on Monday, it's Merry Mondays, so of course we raid Mary because she's great. And just has a lovely community full of fantastic folks, so we want to go give her some love. And she's playing Armored Core 6, so we get some fun mech stuff. That is a game that I have not picked up. I have not played it. I will someday, but I have not done it myself. Reminder, as we get ready to go raid Mary, reminder to all of you that my next stream... Oh, I got to change this here. Sorry, hold on. My next stream is tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern. I hope that you will come hang out with me tomorrow at 9 p.m. as I talk about anime. Wrapping up the summer season, getting excited about the fall anime season. It is Pat Bear's Anime Club live here on Twitch. I hope you'll check it out. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me tonight. I hope you have a great evening. Let's go on a raid. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye.